It's a blast. It's a blast. I mean, it's every game's extremely important, and the crowd knows it. Both teams know it. Obviously, these guys are in the hunt as well, and so this is great September baseball, and to be back a part of this is exactly why I wanted to be here. And we talked about it in April and May, and now to be September and be in the spot that I hope to be in is awesome.
Very excited. I feel very healthy. So it's fun to be a part of this team and play the game I love. So I'm very excited. Probably a little bit. I felt like I was still kind of grinding through some stuff then, and we're also getting to that crunch time. So it's game time,
It's game time indeed. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm Marty Caswell. That is Jake Garegnani of local CBS 8. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Jake has an interesting background behind him. I will ask him for that a little bit later on. But hey, it is a Wednesday. The Padres are 82-69. Clearly, that audio was from a different time. That was Michael King before his start versus the Reds. A much better start than he had versus the Mets. He got shelled yesterday, and that was Gavin Sheets talking about the excitement of September baseball. Jake, on September 17th, what is your certainty when it comes to the Padres? What do you know?
I'll say my certainty is that they're going to make the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're going to make the postseason. Now, what they do in the postseason is where my certainty becomes concerned, Marty. But I feel very strongly, given the amount of games left, given where they're positioned, that they will be playing October baseball. That's my certainty.
Okay. You and I actually agree. Normally, oftentimes when we get together, we have different opinions. And there are times my opinion changes from night to night, depending on not just if they win or lose, but how they win or lose. Yesterday, they got shellacked. But yes, you're right. They're 82-69. I think they have a firm grip on the 5th spot in the wild card. You never know what's going to happen now. I believe they are a playoff team. It's just a matter of when they're going to clinch it. My question is, how deep a run can they go? I'll ask you this. Is the Padres offense good enough to carry the deficiencies in their starting pitching?
Yeah, that's where the concern lies, right? Because the deficiencies in the starting pitching is really deficient right now. And that's the scary part. Like, I think when you look at who you trust pitching in October, personally, I got like one guy in mind right now, and that's Nick Pivetta. I'm not trying to throw shade at Randy Vasquez, who's been very good for the Padres, but do we trust him in October yet? I don't know. I'm not sure what to think about Randy. I felt decent about Michael up until yesterday, and now you're like, all right, so where's Michael at? So the weird thing is, Marty, is like all of a sudden these guys could go into October and throw the ball well. Like I could see Michael putting it together, no problem, and throw the ball really well in a game in October. It's just like, do I have confidence in it? Not so sure right now. So to answer that question straight up, I don't know if the offense can make up for the deficiencies of the pitching if it's as bad as it can be. That being said, I'm not fully convinced that the pitching will be horrible in October by any means. So that's me spinning my wheels in my head and spinning in circles to answer that question, because I don't know the answer to that question. I really don't. I think I think as deep as this team's going to go in October is going to rely on that starting pitching, Marty. Do you feel differently? I mean, the offense is not really at the forefront of like where my concerns are going into October.
I would actually think that I have more concerns now with the offense because they have been wildly inconsistent. The one guy that I feel good about right now is Jackson Merrill, who's been a different player since he returned back from the injured list for the ankle injury. And as he said, I want to say during the Red Series that he feels like himself. He feels like the player that he was with the opposite field power before he went on the IL the first time, like back in April or May. So that's the one guy I'm confident. Manny Machado, I don't know what to make. I had that conversation, I think, with Gavin Sheets. Like, if you are a struggling player, does one day off really do anything for you? I know in Manny's case, it's 2 days off. He said, no, that really doesn't do much for what's going to ail you. So I hope he can figure it out. But I think like last night, like I gave up on the Padres early. That game was over in the first inning, right? But I did watch quite a bit of the Dodgers. and the Phillies, because that has interest to the Padres fans, right? Because as it stands right now, they still have a better chance of catching the Dodgers for the West than they do for the Cubs, who are winning right now versus the Pirates. They have a healthy 5-game lead for that top wild card spot, and the Cubs are trending in the right direction. But you look at the Dodgers, right? Shohei Ohtani has a no-hitter after 5 innings. They remove him, which you need to do because they want that arm, for the playoffs. But then that bullpen blows it, and it was enjoyable to watch it from a distance because you could just see it happening. You could feel the tension. If you're the Padres, I wonder what they're feeling as they play these games. They're all saying the right things, but what we're seeing is a completely different thing on the field.
Yeah, you do wonder where their confidence is at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you're watching, like you said, what you see on the field opposed to what they're saying, which is wildly different. The hard thing to predict about this San Diego Padres team is because of their inconsistencies. Like, I also have no doubt in the world that this team could be like red hot and run into the NLCS, no problem, which is really weird to say. At the same time, I could see them losing the first 2 games of wild card and being done. And it's just like, I don't know exactly how to predict what'll happen with this team. Sports are hard to predict in general. And then you have a team as inconsistent and as interesting as the San Diego Padres, where you have these pieces where you're like, i.e. Michael King or i.e. Manny Machado, who all of a sudden could be red hot and run through the postseason, or at the same time could stay ice cold and boom, you're done. So it's a very, very difficult team to predict when you talk about October baseball.
I completely agree. So tonight it'll be Nick Pivetta versus David Peterson. We will see what happens. Are you gonna travel? Have you made your plans? I had this great conversation with AJ Caswell yesterday, and he's pretty much saying there was like a 76% chance. I think it's now 100% chance that they're going to start in Chicago against those Cubs. So they last placed in April. Those are completely 2 different teams, though. Are you going to travel?
I'm sure we'll be there. We've been with them every step of every postseason for the last 5-6 years or whatever it's been when they made the postseason. So I'm sure we'll head there. Usually we wait for official confirmation, but it sure feels like it's going to be 3 at Wrigley, which is going to be, if you talk about that series, a very tricky one to go try and win in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of one of the last teams I think you want to see to start the postseason, to be honest.
I completely agree. I would say Chicago or Philly. I mean, you're not going to see Philly because Philly is going to lock in the bye and the second seed. But the 2 teams, I think if you're the Padres, you do not want to see in the first round, the Cubs and the Phillies. And it looks like it's going to be Chicago.
It's going to be a beast if they do fall that way. And that's going to be a tough place to go win 2 games. But I'm not saying it can't happen by any means. Look, Pivetta, the thing is, if they line it up, which they will, and you get Pivetta in game 1 and you win game 1, all hands on deck to get that second win, right? And I got a lot of faith. He's the one guy, and I'd ask you the same question, like, who's the one guy you got a lot of faith in for the San Diego Padres team? It's probably Nick Pivetta making a start in game 1 of a wild card. And then, I said, you go ahead.
Yeah. But no, I'm sorry. Who's your number 2? Do you think the Padres have any idea? I know that in the perfect world, it's crazy. I feel like there was like so much banking on Michael King's return. And I still, listen, I'm not counting him out. I think he can turn, it's 1 start. It was 1 bad outing. If anyone can fix it, I believe Michael King can do it. And as you heard in that open, he says he's healthy. There are no other issues. We're not worried about, overcompensating and then knee inflammation. He says that he feels good. He's probably going to have 1 more start left to hopefully get it right, and then we'll see what happens.
And typical, as a fan or somebody that covers a team, if he goes out there and he throws 5, innings of 1-run ball with 5 punchies, everyone will be like, oh yeah, there's your number 2 starter, and we feel great about him going into October. Like, it's funny how quickly we react. But yesterday was really bad. I understand the reaction to yesterday. That was, huge misses in the zone. It was a home run derby. That's hard to watch and go, I feel so confident about that guy making the second start in October.
Yeah.
But again, if he goes out there and he throws really well in that final start before the postseason, maybe it eases your mind. Maybe, there's some world in which, I don't know if they piggyback him with somebody, depending if it does get rocky. Hey, Randy's ready to go if Michael looks bad in the first inning. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure how they would handle it, but I guess to answer your question about the number 2, you probably are going with Michael, depending on how that final start of the season goes.
Okay, hear me out. Here's my idea for the wild card. All right, it's gonna be Nick Pivetta versus, I'm not even sure who for the Cubs right now. Game 2, if they lose that game 1, you go Wandy Peralta opener. You piggyback with Randy Vasquez for 3 innings, right? And then you turn it over to the Padres bullpen. That is my hunch. I'm joking, but that's why not? Why not?
It's honestly not the worst thought in the world. If it's do or die, look, I get your kind of tongue.
Mason Miller opener, go. And Adrian Morejon, go.
If it's do or die, it is all hands on deck. It is. You're going to lose firing your best bullet. Now, I'm not saying they'll handle it exactly that way, but you will see all those guys in that game for sure.
Hey, a couple more things, Jake. I don't think I've spoken with you since you were in Brazil, right? For the opener, for the Chargers opener versus the Chiefs. Just your quick thoughts now on this NFL season, because we know everything, right? We can all have our hot takes after 2 weeks of the season.
Yes, yeah. I know exactly who's going to win the Super Bowl right now.
Okay.
It's 2 weeks in. I know who the MVP is. So
the Packers. Packers and Jordan
start
Love.
writing this down. I think 2 weeks in, the initial reaction is that there'll be probably a new winner in the AFC West, which is always interesting and fun. I know everyone's going to hate to hear me say this, but I think the Chargers are actually probably a decent football team this year. So we'll say that. And Eagles, Packers in the NFC. And who's your MVP? Jordan Love, Josh Allen again, Lamar gets it back. I mean, who are you feeling? Is Herbert going to win one? It's
going to be Lamar Jackson will be the MVP again, but the Bills will still knock them off in the AFC Championship game. That's how it's going to go.
I said this at the beginning of the year. I think it's finally the Bills' year. I do. I think they finally get to the Super Bowl. Whether they win it or not, I don't know. But I do think they're the team to beat in the AFC for sure now.
That'll make the Padres director of media relations very happy. Craig, he's a massive Bills fan. Okay, last thing, and I don't know how much, I should have asked you ahead of time. I don't know how much coverage that you have had firsthand. I know you have a crew there at CBS. Coverage on San Diego State. I think it was Kurt Kenny of the UT that wrote a piece, really, that Sean Lewis and San Diego State, they're trying to do whatever they can to go ahead and distribute tickets. What's your sense of why it's been such a rocky start? And I'll tell this as someone who lives here as a San Diegan, you have to have more than just a new stadium. The days of a new stadium bringing in the fans, that wore off the first year at Petco Park. If you don't win, it's not going to matter. People have options. They have places to go. They have cold beer at home. They have high def. They have all this stuff, right? They have 4K. They have 8K, whatever. So you have to have some appeal to get fans out. What's your idea as to why San Diego State just has not figured it out?
I think there's a multitude of things that have compiled. And the first is what you mentioned. You have to be a winning football team to get people out. The second is ticket prices. I mean, I don't know why they built this nice stadium and then price people out, which is interesting. You're not going to get your average Joe to go down and watch without being too harsh to them, a very middle of the line product right now to pay all that money to go watch that. And then on top of it, they don't really have that sexy player, the Rashad Pennies, the Donnell Pumphreys, the guys that you go, I got to go out and watch that in person. I got to go see that.
How about a quarterback?
And a quarterback. And when Sean was hired, and I like Sean a lot, he's a really, really nice guy. I'm rooting for him big time. But he kind of promised this explosive Aztec fast, as he called it, type of offense where it was going to be, you're on the seat of your pants the whole time. You're waiting for the next big play. And we have seen none of that, right? I mean, really none of it. Now, I think it's hard because in years past, you could let a coach come in and give him 4 years in a program and build up, get the players he wanted in. That world doesn't exist anymore in the year 2025 in college football with NIL and transfer portal. So it's really hard because you have to decide whether he's being able to build something in these moments of NIL or if you're going to hit on a window of certain players. But it's just, you're not winning football games. You're not an exciting product and you're charging a lot. Why would people show up? Now, I hope they change all that. I say that because I'm just talking in reality. I hope it all works out for them. I'm rooting for the Aztecs, but that's probably the harsh answer to your question.
I completely agree. And when I'm reading about what Sean Lewis is doing, right, going different places, just walking around campus, it reminds me of what Steve Fisher had to do when he took over the men's basketball program and no one cared. Yeah. And look what it's turned into. I think that with the football, it's a different challenge, different sport. But he is going grassroots, trying to figure out interest. And I think it starts with your students too. And I know the point's been made, you need to have it on campus. Guys, it's a little bit too late for that. The Chargers are gone. They built that thing for San Diego State. So that's where it's going to be.
And look, if there's a guy that's going to put in the work to try and build it, it's Sean. Yeah. I got zero worries about him trying to do it. And the guy busts his tail. Another great point about the stadium being off campus. But again, like you said, too late. So figure it out. And hopefully they do. Maybe the new Pac-12 will bring some excitement.
I don't know.
but I don't. It feels very far away right now. I'll say that.
Yeah. All right. I love that. Listen, your background is not as exotic as it was when you joined me from Brazil.
But I got two Great Danes this time.
And they've slept through this entire interview. I think I'm mildly insulted. I'm not sure if you are, but you have some those are Great Danes?
Yeah, they're Great Danes. This
How
is
many
about
pounds
175.
Holy
That guy's
smokes.
about 160, 170. This is Garth. Hi, Garthy.
Hi, Garth.
And then
Is that
Greta's the
Brooks?
one. That it's actually named after Wayne's World. Party on Wayne, party on Garth. And our other dog. I'm never home when we do these things. I'm sorry. I'm like in Brazil, and now I'm at like an Airbnb in Oceanside. We got the in-laws in town, so
Love it.
I apologize about my rotating backdrops and all of that all the time.
It's much better than my boring backdrop every single time. How many pounds of food do they eat every single day?
Pounds of food is I know we go through. I think it's a 60-pound bag every week and a half. So I don't math, but they eat a lot. The food bill is quite large. But they're sweethearts. I love Great Danes.
Jake, you're the absolute best. Do you have any more? Does CBS have any more games? Do you guys have the final Saturday against the D-backs?
We do. We have that final Saturday game. We'll be out there. We'll have all the coverage. Hopefully it's hopefully they clinch before, but for our sake on CBS, I wouldn't mind being the clinching game, the playoff clinching game at a big party.
Let me tell you this. Let me just tell you this really quick. Okay. They could clinch as soon as Saturday. If it takes them until next Saturday to clinch the spot, there are big problems in Padres land, because that means the Padres crap the bed against Chicago White Sox or the Milwaukee Brewers, who, by the way, when they come into Petco Park on Monday, they should have nothing left to play for other than lining up their starters and giving guys rest. The best, the team I do not want to face in the National League West right now may very well be the Arizona Diamondbacks. So I really hope that they have something they haven't figured out before next weekend. But you should still watch Jake.
It makes it hard when you're facing teams with their back up against the wall, right? Yeah. That's what makes this Mets series very difficult. Is like you're playing these teams that have absolutely zero wiggle room. So it does make it tricky. It's going to be the same with the Diamondbacks. And let me ask you this, since you always flip it on me. What is your confidence with this San Diego Padres team as we record today going into the postseason? How do you see October working out for the brown and gold?
I think they need to win the division. I really think the Padres need to figure out a way to win the division, and the Dodgers seem all too willing to give it to them. I think they have to win the division in order to have a deep. The Cubs are the one. I don't want to face the Cubs. Not me. That would be that to me is a scary opponent on the road in Wrigley Field, especially with the number of home runs that this pitching staff has been giving up, the starters especially. That's the one place I do not want to start. I still think the division is doable. I think the Dodgers. Here's my certainty that I know about the playoffs. The Dodgers are going nowhere this year. They are dead. Their bullpen is a disaster. They're going to have to go ahead and cut. They're going to have to eat Tanner Scott's contract. That's how bad it is. And I think that the players in that team, no faith in the bullpen. Once they pulled Ohtani yesterday, that game was over. So I think the Padres have a chance, but they are a much better team at home. They're below 500 on the road. They have to win the division, I believe, to have a legitimate chance in the playoffs.
I think that's a really great point, a wonderful point. I personally, it's 100% still there that they could do it. It does feel like that window is sailed a little bit, though, to win the division. I hope not, because to your point, the Dodgers are completely booting games left and right. So the reality still is there. The schedule with the remaining handful, 11, 10 games really fits well, but it's just do it. I'm tired of wait. It just feels like nobody wants to win the West right now, which is a very frustrating situation. And then one final thought before we leave. If somehow or some way, I'm not going to say somehow because it's very doable, like I mentioned about Nick Pivetta, if they do start in Wrigley and they do beat the Cubs in 3, let's say, the rest of the runway looks somewhat decent. I mean, I think it's not as bad as people think for the rest of the runway. The Brewers personally, and I may be dead wrong about this, they've had a wonderful, wonderful regular season. I'm not wildly, not me, I'm going out there, but I don't think the Padres are wildly intimidated by the Milwaukee Brewers. Mm-hmm. I think the one other team you'd have left that you're that could be big trouble is the Philadelphia, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't think the runway once, and if you do get by the Cubs, is this.
The Dodgers, because then it's the Dodgers. Then it's the Dodgers, and that's
doable.
Why not?
By all
that's
means.
Doable. Yeah.
So I don't know. I could see a world in which they end up as the 5. They go to Wrigley. Pivetta shoves in game 1.
Yep.
You find a way to get another one, and then all of a sudden you're decently set up. That's my Mr. Positive outlook, because you're always looking for it for me.
Yeah. Here's my prediction, because we won't talk until they have. We'll know what the Padres are doing. Maybe we'll talk in the playoffs. They will end up, because sports is about regret and second guessing and what if. They will end up tied with the Dodgers, which essentially is one game back. Mm-hmm. And we will have an entire offseason of why, right? Of second guessing, of agony, because sports is exhilaration and it's agony and it's second guessing. And that, to me, that's the heart and soul of being a sports fan. And you have a whole offseason of why did we do this? Why did we drop Luis Arias in the lineup? I don't know.
You're 100% right about that. I will say, even as much as you try and predict like which path is best, we need to be this, we need to be that. The home field advantage thing is a very valid point. But aside from that, you could pick where you want to be in the postseason. You just never know. Playoff baseball is the most unpredictable thing in the world. Yeah. So we'll see. I think I said one final thought about 10 minutes ago, but I think one final thought is this. If you took Marty Caswell at the beginning of the season and you asked her, what are your expectations for the San Diego Padres in the year 2025? Would making the playoffs have been good enough expectations for you?
Of making the playoffs? No, not just making, not just getting in. Not if you get bounced. No, because number one, going into 2025, I wasn't. Injuries happen, but I wasn't expecting the type of injuries that they had with Michael King. I most certainly was not expecting Dylan Cease to have such a down season in a walk year. Normally, you want those guys. You want Luis Arias. You want Dylan Cease, because they're going to have a huge year as they go into free agency. So just getting in wouldn't have been enough. I would expect a deep playoff run, just because I think that next year, this is a window. This is their window with the players they have. And I think next year could look a lot different financially in free agency. If you think Padres fans were bent about only getting Nick Pivetta in this offseason, how slow it was in free agency, then look out, because I think this offseason is going to be even slower. I think this is their best window for quite a guys in that locker room, because they're going to look different next season.
Yeah, it's going to be a massively different looking roster, and we'll see about the finances. But it's interesting, because I feel like if you talk to a lot of Padre fans at the beginning of the year, the expectations probably fit in exactly what you just explained. And then as we kind of got through the year, it was like, all right, if they get into the playoffs, we'll feel pretty good. And now we're here, and they're essentially going to get in, and it's like, let's see what happens. I've always said, look, you just got to get into the dance and see what happens. So.
Okay, I'm gonna leave you with one positive note. Normally, that you are the one, you're full of optimism, right? You're Mr. Half Full, I'm half empty. This is the person who's going to change around the fortunes of this Padres offense and help carry them with momentum into October.
There he is. X doing it. X gonna give it to you. I love the positive outlook.
This is the guy. We had this conversation 2 weeks ago from Brazil, that I don't think people realized how much the Padres were going to miss Xander Bogaerts, man. He was one of their hottest hitters before he fractured his foot. I believe he's back versus the White Sox. I know he was very optimistic he'd get back before the playoffs, wants to get that timing.
I like it. Here's what I'm going to say on top of that. I think that's a great take. I also think the trade deadline cast, the Ramones, they're going to be big in the playoffs. Look out for Freddie Fermin to get a big knock. Look out for that guy to shove in the postseason.
Yep.
I love it, Marty. I'm leaving this conversation feeling great, actually. I really am. I think you've turned my outlook around.
I'm here for you, Jake. You're the absolute best. Thank you so much for doing this. I will see you soon. I will see you very soon. I look forward to seeing you at Petco Park. Enjoy your staycation with the family in Oceanside. And Wayne and Garth and Greta. Party on, Wayne. Party on, Jake.
All right. I'll have a different backdrop next time we talk, as always.
That's Jake Garegnani of Local CBS. I'm Marty Caswell. We're brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon.
We're going to talk about earthquakes? No, I thought you want to talk about baseball.
Where are you on the Astros sign stealing scandal and the resulting punishment?
I wasn't going to be answering no Astros questions today.
That's right, Rupp. That's right, Rupp.
Baseball's where I belong. I don't care what field. I love this team. I want to be here forever. I want to be the Padres forever. But baseball is what I always love.
Since we're in the moment, is there a more annoying sports phrase than get in the hole?
Oh, you're saying for this? Oh, I was like, what are you talking about?